Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at Meta. It is time for another update, and today we'll be discussing the reversal from the area of support we have been covering in the last couple of videos here, where basically we pushed perfectly into the last level and we created already a 10% movement to the upside. Now we'll be discussing more about that and the larger structure we are tracking in a moment, but before I want to go quickly through the larger time frame for any of you who might be new. And here we have been tracking this idea of a larger wave 1 in an impulse that has formed quite beautifully. We have a wave 2 correction and we are looking for a third wave to unfold to the upside. Now the wave 3 would be expected to have such a serious extension that realistically we shouldn't necessarily focus too much on it, but for some context we would be looking at around the $6,000 level, the $6,200 level. That would be the ideal target for the wave 3 in the current context. Now, I may have not drawn this perfectly, but that is roughly an estimation where we should be targeting to get to within the larger wave 3. Now, should we expect to get there in a direct line to the upside? Absolutely not. We need to be prepared for this to form into a larger wave 1 to the upside. Now the thing is, even within this structure, I would highly expect it to still extend higher. Because you see, within a wave 1 part of a larger wave 3, especially based on the current structure, I would strongly expect to form an impulse. Now within an impulse in this area, we have a couple of options. So we could track this as a series of 1-2 setups, where this could be a more significant top within a wave 3, a wave 4, and then we would at the very least expect a 4-5 pattern for each of those 1-2 setups. Something like a 4-5, 4-5, 4-5. This could mark a more significant top within a wave 1. This would be considered, or would be able to be considered, a full count. Now, is this all we need, all we can build? No. Each of those waves could form extensions, Even this current wave 5 to the upside we have been tracking as a possible extension, and I will show you in a moment what we are talking about more specifically, but this is the larger theme that we are tracking. We have at the very least a more significant wave 3 that we cannot deny could extend higher within this pattern to the upside before we break below the 50% retracement. As long as we stay here above the $467 level, I would strongly expect that this structure could still extend higher. Now, is this my preferred interpretation? I have to say, really not. I would really heavily prefer that we extend higher within this fifth wave that we have in this area. And that is exactly what we have been tracking within the yellow interpretation. Here we would still be looking for the same wave 3 in this area, but within this scenario we actually track a 1, 2, 3, 4th and a 5th. Within this fifth wave we would instead consider that this was only the wave 1. We would expect a wave 2 correction here that could have very well bottomed, and a third wave to extend to the upside. Now I can actually provide you even a target for this internal wave 3, and that would still be the 138.2% extension of the wave 1, in this case around the $1,200 level. Now keep in mind, this could still very well follow through the white scenario where we might have formed a more significant top within this wave 3, because we did already get into the area of support within this correction. We could technically be within the large wave 5 to the upside. Would this mean that we shouldn't expect to get to those levels? Well, possibly, we wouldn't need to, but I would still expect to form a 5-wave move to the upside regardless, because we are tracking an impulse within this area, and failing to do so would have certain more bearish implications possibly. It is a bit more detailed, a bit more nuanced, because there are quite a few options within which we could track this larger pattern, but without getting into too much detail, we are preferring continuation high right now, and I personally prefer it within this yellow interpretation in which we are looking for a wave 3 to form within this area. Now, as you may notice, within this wave 2 we have been tracking a possible bottom in this ABC structure within the correction, within the area of support we had here, and very nicely we actually got into the 61.8% retracement before creating a beautiful reaction to the upside. We had a 3-wave pattern to the downside into the area of support. We have our initial 5-wave move to the upside on a smaller time frame, and we have basically a double 1-2-1-2 setup. We were watching this area of resistance to prove a bit more difficult to break than being in discovery mode in new all-time high territory basically. but it wasn't something too specifically suggesting to us that we should expect with high probabilities continuation lower. In fact, the structure was suggesting to us that we should prefer with high probability continuation in this uptrend, at the very least within another wave in this area. That is exactly what we have been tracking internally. We had here in, whoops, I meant to open this one, but we had here in the previous videos this area of support for a 1-2 setup that was being tracked. Yeah, we had the area of support extend all the way down to the $601 level. We had already reached the area of support within the first push to the downside. We were considering even a possible bottom within this area, but we needed to break internal levels of resistance for this to be a signal that this structure might have formed a more significant bottom. This wasn't the case. We only got brief pushes above the area of resistance, but each of them got rejected and allowed us to extend even lower. Now, within this structure, we were tracking in the previous video a pattern within this wave C in an ABC structure in the wave 2 correction, in which we were actually still expecting continuation lower. We can even go in the smaller time frame here. We had here a 1-2 setup, a third wave down. We were tracking the wave 4 area of resistance. We got to it, we got rejected, and then we had this as a fifth wave down. We got to another area of resistance, we got rejected. Many interpretations could work out for the internal structure within this area, but I believe it is certainly a valid scenario to consider it to have completed, especially since we broke already above all relevant internal resistance areas. Yeah, I am tracking this as something like an ending diagonal within this wave C. Doesn't matter too much. We got to the last level of support a couple of times and we pushed higher beautifully. Yeah, in a couple of days, or what is it, we got over 10%, and we are now still pushing higher even as we record this video, and I would expect this to extend at the very least a little bit higher anyway. Now, in terms of resistance, could we track anything else? Well, technically yes, we could be looking for a generic area of resistance up to the 78.6% retracement, but we already broke even above that. I would strongly expect this structure to manage to push into new high territory. And would this be expected to build a wave 3 to the upside? Well, ideally, yes. Ideally, I would really like this to manage to build a third wave to the upside, but I cannot give you such a certainty. I cannot confirm that this will, without doubt, succeed in building it, because technically we do still have a larger area of resistance we can track here in orange up to the $744 level. We can track this as a simpler ABC structure, in which case, yeah, we could very easily expect to get only to around the 61.8% retracement, around the $700 level. We can actually even look for an ideal target for such a wave C, and even for the wave 3 internally within this area. But for the wave C, it would be around, as I said, around the $700 level, the 100% extension of the wave A. For the wave 3, the ideal target is, however, at the $740 level, and that pretty much lines up with the 78.6% retracement. Now, what type of resistances should you expect in this path to the upside? Well, I cannot fully confirm that it will work out exactly in this way. We have some structural resistances along the way. We are right now at 1. We have a more significant top that has formed from this uptrend within this area. We did have a stopping point here. Now, along the way, the 61.8% retracement comes to mind. We also have here structural resistance to watch out for. It is also very much in line with the 100% extension of this wave to the upside. And then the next levels would be the 78.6% retracement and the wave B top. If we manage to even get a break above the wave B top, it would be actually quite a strong signal that a more significant bottom should be expected to be in place and that we should be prepared for continuation to the upside. Now, when will we get the next opportunity? Because this was a high probability trade setup. This was an interesting opportunity. Now, I don't know if you used it. I hope some of you did manage to find an edge within this interpretation, within the ideas presented. But in the end, we will always have potential trade setups, potential areas of support. This was a more interesting one, certainly. It was basically following here a double 1-2-1-2 setup. We were looking with high probability for continuation higher. We were still within the larger area of support. It was, checking all the boxes, and you cannot really ask for something better than this, to be honest. Now, the next opportunity could come here in a wave 4. Isn't necessarily going to be as high of a probability trade setup as a 1-2 setup. Generally, in a wave 4, you already completed the likely part of the uptrend. This could work out as an ABC structure where a larger correction could occur, even a failure could occur. Even if we break the area of resistance, that is not certainty. We're always watching probabilities, but it is not certainty. But if we manage to build this 5-wave move to the upside, that could once again become interesting, because we would have a larger wave 1 and another wave 2 correction that could provide an interesting opportunity. Now, be prepared along the way to face some challenges. Be prepared for the earnings report that is coming very, very soon. We have seen what has happened to Intel today due to the poor Q1 outlook. This could happen also to other stocks. The shortages, I'm sure, would be expected to affect more companies than just Intel. And in the end, we need to be prepared for whatever may come. And for now, within this area, I'm watching the wave 3. Now, in this structure internally, we can also have a look here, but it won't be for too much use for an internal area of support because we are still extending higher. If we still shoot up within this area, it would be pretty much invalidate the idea that I would provide to you. And here I would consider this to be a possible double, even here, a 1-2, 1-2 setup, another 1-2 here, a third wave up, fourth wave down, and then a fifth wave. Well, this would be able to be considered a more significant top within a wave 3. It could still extend itself. It could actually still be that this wave 3 is still ongoing, but for an area of support, if we are to start a larger retracement, I would not watch higher than the 50% retracement for a potential wave 4 correction. That is the $634 level. If we break that level, it would have quite bearish implications, and I might probably even expect failures in such a case. But for now, we are watching this correction in wave 4. We have here the area of support that starts at the $650 level. If we get to it, we can assume that a wave 4 bottom has formed within this area, but again, if we push higher, we would also need to adjust the area of support. This is a moving target that we are tracking at the moment, as I don't have any signal that a more significant top has formed within this area. We had the larger structural resistance that did slow it down, but that doesn't mean it needs to stop. That doesn't mean it needs to get to the area of support. But for now, we are tracking higher. I would expect within this structure, at the very least, a 4-5-4-5 to consider it complete. Very much within the expectations for a wave C within the $700 level. Be prepared. Be prepared also for the upcoming earnings report that is on Wednesday. And for now, I don't really have anything else to provide you. These are the levels. This is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you did, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what else you want me to cover. And I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.